Have you ever stopped to wonder how an inherently kind soul can slip into acts of cruelty, morphing into someone you'd hardly recognize? Today, we're diving deep into the mysteries of human nature, exploring how even the most compassionate individuals can sometimes cross that fragile line into darkness. This isn't a tale of rare anomalies. It's a story as old as time, woven into the fabric of our history and our everyday lives. Imagine for a moment someone you hold in high regard, a person who seems to radiate kindness, integrity, and warmth. Now, envision that same person succumbing to forces that twist their inner light into shadows. It sounds like something straight out of a thriller, right? Yet, history and psychology show us that under the right conditions, even the most principled among us can be driven to commit acts that seem unthinkable. Today, we're peeling back the layers of this complex transformation. We'll look at the psychological experiments that laid bare the potential for cruelty in every one of us, explore historical events that provide stark evidence of how ordinary people can commit extraordinary wrongs, and challenge ourselves to see how we might resist these dark impulses. The invisible hand of authority. One of the key factors that can twist a good person into something unrecognizable is the immense power of authority. Consider the groundbreaking work of Stanley Milgram, whose obedience experiments in the 1960s shocked the world. In his study, regular individuals were instructed to administer electric shocks to others. Shocks that, in reality, were only simulated. Yet, a majority followed orders even when it meant inflicting severe pain. It's a chilling reminder of how easily we can surrender our moral compass when an authority figure directs us. Ask yourself, how often do you comply without questioning? Whether it's your boss, a community leader, or even a deep-rooted societal norm, the pressure to conform can be overwhelming. This phenomenon isn't confined to the laboratory. Throughout history, we've seen countless examples. Soldiers executing orders in brutal regimes, citizens complicit in systemic atrocities, and even everyday people remaining silent in the face of injustice. The lesson is clear. When we allow authority to dictate our actions without reflection, we risk becoming unwitting participants in something far darker than we ever imagined. The danger of dehumanization. Another powerful force at work is dehumanization. This is the process of stripping away the humanity of others, reducing them to mere labels or stereotypes. When we begin to see people as less than human, merely obstacles, enemies, or numbers, it becomes disturbingly simple to justify mistreatment and cruelty. Think about the language used in heated political debates or during times of conflict. When groups are labeled as the other, it's easier to dismiss their pain and suffering. This tactic is not new. Propaganda throughout the ages has employed dehumanizing rhetoric to turn public sentiment against entire communities. It creates an us versus them mentality that divides and conquers. And in our everyday lives, subtle forms of dehumanization creep in. Whether it's through the casual use of derogatory terms on social media or by accepting biased narratives without question, every instance chips away at our capacity for empathy. Social roles and the loss of identity. Ever noticed how, in group settings, people sometimes seem to lose their individuality? The famous Stanford Prison Experiment, led by Philip Zimbardo, demonstrated this in a visceral way. In a simulated prison environment, college students were randomly assigned roles as either guards or prisoners. Before long, the guards adopted abusive behaviors, and the prisoners became passive and submissive. What happened was a profound transformation, one where personal identity was swallowed by the roles dictated by the situation. This experiment offers a crucial insight. Our behavior can be dramatically reshaped by the roles we assume, often without us realizing it. When we're absorbed in the expectations and norms of a group, our individual moral judgments can be eclipsed by the collective mentality. It begs the question, how much of who we are is truly under our control, and how much is molded by external forces? The slow slope of moral compromise. It's rarely a sudden, catastrophic event that leads someone to commit a wrong. More often, it's a gradual process, a series of small compromises that, over time, erode our moral defenses. Picture a scenario where you witness an injustice at work but choose to remain silent because it's just this once. Each seemingly minor decision chips away at your inner values, creating a slippery slope toward actions you might later regret. Reflect on moments in your own life. Have you ever done something that contradicted your personal values because it seemed easier or safer at the time? That internal conflict is a sign of how precarious our moral standing can be. When small compromises add up, they create the perfect storm for moral failure. Recognizing these moments is essential if we want to guard against the gradual slide into unethical behavior. The mirror of human nature. The story of human behavior is as ancient as civilization itself. Throughout history, we see patterns where individuals, caught in the web of authority, dehumanization, and social conformity, commit acts that defy their earlier virtues. Consider the soldiers in wartime, the bystanders who silently allow atrocities, or even the seemingly ordinary citizens who become complicit in systemic injustice. They remind us that the capacity for both tremendous good and profound harm lies within each of us. But here's the empowering truth. While these forces are powerful, they are not irresistible. Understanding them is the first step toward reclaiming our moral agency. It is in acknowledging our dual nature, the coexistence of light and darkness within us, that we begin to truly see and safeguard our inner selves. The power of moral vigilance. So, how do we protect ourselves from slipping into darkness? The antidote is what many psychologists refer to as moral vigilance. This means staying constantly aware of our actions and questioning their consequences, even when it's uncomfortable. Instead of blindly following orders or drifting along with the crowd, we must cultivate the habit of critical reflection. Imagine if, each day, you pause to ask, am I acting in alignment with my core values? Is this decision truly mine, or am I being swayed by external pressures? This kind of self-awareness is not just a defensive mechanism. It's an active strategy for moral strength. It's about being alert, staying true to what matters most, and never taking our moral compass for granted. The role of empathy and connection. Another cornerstone in resisting the forces that lead us astray is empathy. When we make the conscious effort to see others as real, complex beings, with dreams, fears, and emotions, the impulse to harm diminishes. Empathy bridges the gap between us and them, breaking down the barriers that dehumanize and isolate. Stories, art, and genuine human connection play a vital role here. They remind us of our shared humanity and help cultivate an environment where compassion prevails. Whether it's through listening to someone's personal story or engaging in heartfelt conversation, these moments of connection serve as a counterweight to the cold, calculating forces of authority and conformity. The impact of societal structures. While individual actions are crucial, we must also consider the larger frameworks that shape our behavior. Societal structures, systems of governance, cultural norms, and media narratives can either nurture our moral sensibilities or erode them. History is replete with examples of charismatic leaders who have used their influence to either uplift or corrupt entire populations. Take, for instance, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi, whose visions of justice and peace transformed societies. In contrast, figures like Adolf Hitler manipulated fear and prejudice to justify unspeakable atrocities. The critical takeaway here is that leadership matters. The values embodied by those at the helm of our communities can set the tone for an entire generation. In our everyday lives, this means that we are not only accountable for our personal choices but also for the influence we exert on others. Every interaction, every decision, and every word contributes to the broader cultural narrative. It's a profound responsibility, one that calls on us to be mindful and intentional in the way we lead and inspire. The challenge of moral courage. Let's not forget that standing up for what is right often requires extraordinary bravery. Moral courage is the quality that propels individuals to act ethically, even when facing overwhelming opposition or personal risk. It's the inner strength that drives a person to protest injustice, to speak out against corruption, and to defend the vulnerable. Historical figures like Rosa Parks, who famously refused to surrender her seat on a bus, exemplify this quality. Their actions were not born of a fearlessness devoid of human vulnerability but from a steadfast commitment to their principles. The truth is, moral courage is something we can nurture within ourselves. It begins with knowing our own values and daring to stand by them, no matter the cost. Practical strategies for moral resilience. So, how can we cultivate this resilience in our daily lives? Here are a few actionable strategies. Self-reflection. Make it a habit to regularly question your actions. Ask yourself, was that choice true to my values? Regular reflection builds a mental habit of alignment with your core beliefs. Visualize ethical scenarios. Imagine yourself in situations where you must make difficult decisions. Rehearse in your mind how you would respond to pressure or injustice. This mental exercise not only prepares you but also reinforces your commitment to do what's right. Build a support network. Surround yourself with individuals who share your values. When you have a community that encourages ethical behavior, it becomes easier to resist negative influences. These connections serve as both a buffer and a sounding board during challenging times. Stay informed. Knowledge is power. By studying history, psychology, and philosophy, you can better understand the forces that shape human behavior. This awareness is the first step toward countering the impulses that lead to moral compromise. Practice empathy daily. Look for opportunities to connect with others on a human level. Whether through conversation, volunteer work, or simply listening attentively, fostering empathy can transform not only your perspective but also the way you interact with the world. Embrace failure as growth. Understand that everyone stumbles. When you fall short of your values, practice self-forgiveness. Use these moments as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as permanent marks on your character. The heroic impulse within us. Even in the darkest moments, there is always a spark of heroism waiting to emerge. This heroic imagination is the belief that each of us, regardless of our circumstances, has the potential to act as a beacon of light amid the darkness. It's not about waiting for extraordinary events or larger-than-life circumstances. It's about recognizing that every small act of integrity contributes to a greater tapestry of goodness. Imagine a world where every individual consciously chose to act with compassion, where each decision, no matter how minute, helped build a culture of kindness. That vision isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Each positive action creates a ripple effect, inspiring others to follow suit, and collectively, these ripples can transform society. Interconnectedness and collective responsibility. One of the most profound realizations we can come to is the understanding that the battle between light and darkness isn't fought on distant battlegrounds. It happens right here, in the hearts of every person. The line between good and evil isn't drawn along cultural or national boundaries. It runs through each of us. Recognizing this interconnectedness is both humbling and empowering. When we truly grasp that our actions influence not only ourselves but also those around us, we begin to see the world through a lens of collective responsibility. Every kind word, every brave stand against injustice, and every moment of empathy contributes to a global wave of positive change. It's a reminder that, regardless of the challenges we face, we have the power to shape a future defined by compassion and justice. The final call to action. As we come to the end of our journey today, I want you to take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. Think about the forces of authority, dehumanization, and conformity, and consider how they might have influenced your own actions in subtle ways. Now, envision the alternative, a life defined by unwavering moral courage, empathy, and self-awareness. This is not an abstract ideal. It's a call to action for every one of us. Whether it's standing up against bullying at work, challenging an unethical norm in your community, or simply choosing kindness over indifference, every decision matters. Every moment offers a new opportunity to resist the lure of darkness and embrace the power of goodness. Ask yourself, what legacy do I want to leave behind? How can I, in my everyday interactions, help create a world where compassion and integrity prevail? The answers may not be simple, but the pursuit is worth every effort. Remember, the journey toward moral resilience is lifelong. There will be moments of doubt, times when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming, and instances when failure seems inevitable. But it's precisely in those moments that your true character is forged. Stand firm. Keep questioning. And above all, never forget that you have the power to choose. Today, we've journeyed through the intricate landscape of human nature, from the seductive allure of authority and the dehumanizing effects of propaganda, to the quiet, everyday choices that define our moral compass. We've seen that while the potential for darkness lies within us all, so too does the capacity for heroism and compassion. Our exploration reveals that the battle between good and evil is not external but internal, a daily contest fought in the quiet moments of decision and reflection. And it is in these moments that we can choose to be a force for good. As you move forward, carry with you this message: remain vigilant. Nurture your empathy, fortify your moral courage, and continuously reflect on your actions. By doing so, you not only protect yourself from slipping into the shadows but also light the way for others. This is your moment. Embrace it. Be the change that transforms the world from within. The journey may be challenging, but every step you take towards ethical living creates ripples of hope and justice across our shared humanity. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of what it takes to resist the pull of darkness and to rise, time and time again, as a beacon of light in a complex world. The choice is yours. Will you rise to the challenge and let your inner goodness shine? Every story, every historical account, and every experiment reminds us that our nature is not fixed. We are constantly evolving, shaped by our experiences and the environments we inhabit. The forces that can turn a kind soul into a monster are always lurking, but so too are the opportunities to learn, grow, and transform. Today, I challenge you to keep this dialogue alive, within yourself and in your community. Let the lessons of the past inform your actions, and let your everyday choices be a testament to the power of resilience and hope. In the grand tapestry of life, each thread of compassion, courage, and introspection contributes to a larger, more beautiful picture. As you continue on your journey, may you find strength in your vulnerability, wisdom in your reflections, and unwavering commitment in your quest for a more just and kind world. This is not just a narrative about the human condition, it's a call to arms for the soul. Stand up, speak out, and let your actions echo the promise of a better tomorrow. Never underestimate the power of a single decision. Every act of kindness, every stand against injustice, every moment of moral clarity is a victory against the darkness that seeks to erode our humanity. Remember, you have the power to transform not only your life but also the lives of those around you. Embrace this challenge, and let your light shine bright in a world that desperately needs it. Thank you for taking this journey with me today. Let's walk this path together, resisting the forces that lead us astray and building a future rooted in compassion, integrity, and unwavering moral strength.